Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 185 of the I Rock Knits podcast. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a knitwear designer and full-time teacher, and I love color. And you don't have to adjust your monitors. This gives a little bit of an optical illusion. It can kind of be one of those things where your brain is trying to see, and every time we tried to take pictures, we got a little bit of that blurriness. I do have a Patreon community and no pressure, but I would love it if you would join me. I've been podcasting every other year for over 6 years now, and I really wanted to get to know some of the people in my community. So every other month we have a knit night or a book club so that we alternate, and we are having a great time. I'm getting to know some of the people who've been watching my podcast for a really long time. And for as little as $2, $4, or $10, you can join us over there. $10 members do get every single pattern I publish for free. And so that is their reward. But otherwise, you can just join and come and go as you wish. I just wanted to mention it right up front here because I'm really loving that I have gotten some more communication, close personal friendships with some of the people who have been commenting on my podcast. And I've been doing this Patreon for over a year now, and it's just been wonderful to kind of get to know some of the people who watch and find out where they live and what they're knitting on and things like that. So if you'd like to come over and join, that would be great. I have a lot to tell you about today, but let's start with what I'm wearing. It's off the needles. This is a new pattern that's coming out on the 12th of November for Sacred Sheep, the event I'm going to in Portland, Oregon. It is an event I'm going to with 3 of my dear friends, and I have this pattern coming out with Farmer's Daughter Fibers. I'm super excited about the yarn support that they gave me. I actually have knit 4 of these vests. So I started one that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And it was just kind of too small, and it was the prototype, and I wasn't super happy with it. And then I made this one, and then I had a sample knitter help me with this one, which is in a larger size for more people to be able to try on. But we did the photo shoot today, and my daughter came over, and we drove out to a barn that is along the side of the highway, kind of a falling down barn. And I'd taken a picture there before of my farm yarn shawl. And people really seemed to like the background of that picture. So we went back over there, and I took my hat that I bought a couple of years ago that I've only worn like once. And so we took photos, and she posed me and told me what looked better. And I was like, collar in, which I usually do, or collar out. And she was like, oh, I think collar out is better for the picture. So we did all of the things. We did me walking and me peeking and out the barn door. And yeah, the barn is pretty falling down. So it's really weathered, and the cars are whizzing by on the highway, and people are looking, and I'm sure they're thinking, oh, some young girl is over there having her senior pictures taken, and then they see the gray-haired, almost 65-year-old knitwear designer having her picture taken. So anyway, this pattern is going to be called Fully Invested. It does come in a cropped, shorter version and a long sleeve, and a longer standard length version. I'm really excited about it. I've had 20 testers who stuck with multiple iterations of this pattern, trying to make it a good fit for everyone, which has been really difficult because if you have broad shoulders, you need broader section up here. And if you have narrow shoulders, you need a narrower section up here. And so, and then getting this top seam to line up so that you have a diamond shape, which was at the suggestion of some of my testers, has been a little challenging, but it is just a 4-row repeat, and the rows repeat themselves. 1 and 2 are the same as 3 and 4, just in opposite colors. So the pattern itself is super simple to knit. It's just a lot of knitting because you're carrying color the entire time. So that's why it's a vest, right? Because you don't have to knit the sleeves, but you do have to knit back and forth up here in color work. And a lot of the testers were like, I just don't know if I want to do that. But then once they did it, they're like, oh, it really wasn't bad because you've done the chevron for so long that you know what it is. And when you turn around, you just follow the chart and purl, and it turns out fine. And it goes so much quicker once you divide for the arms and do some decreases around here. So most of the people were really happy with their finished product. I'm going to put some testers pictures in. I haven't quite got all the testers pictures back, but I think I have maybe 13 of the 20, and some of them are gorgeous. There are a couple that the fit is a little off on. The people picked a size bigger because they liked a, kind of an oversized fit, which is what this one is on me. It's too big, but it's kind of fun to wear that way because it's just real oversized. You could wear it with leggings. You could wear it with a pair of tighter pant legs. So I'm just so excited to have a pattern come out with a big company like Farmer's Daughter and see how it does. So, and I love a chevron. That's why my dog is named Chevy. I am just so drawn to stripes and chevrons. You guys all know I love color. My third iteration that will actually fit is going to be the cropped version, and I'm just getting ready almost to divide for the sleeves, and it's in this glorious dark red. And I think this will be really fun at the holidays to kind of maybe put some red and green with it to make it kind of lean Christmas at my house. And then I don't have to have it lean that way the rest of the year. But I was thinking even some like dark red corduroy pants or a dark red corduroy or velour kind of dress would be kind of fun with that. And obviously you can wear it with a t-shirt underneath it, a short sleeved or a long sleeved. I did happen to have this green shirt that kind of coordinated. I ended up wearing the white because I didn't want to change clothes on the highway out there. So I just put the vest on. But anyway, all that to say, I have a new pattern coming out. The November pattern for the dumpling bags will be coming out this week, I think on Wednesday. That one is done and ready to go. I just have to write up the newsletter on Tuesday, and then I'll be sending that pattern out. So if you are already a dumpling bag devotee, that will drop into your Ravelry library. And I already did the December bag pattern, and it's being test knit right now. And that's going to come in 2 sizes for the first time. So we're going to have a smaller and a bigger version. And then going into winter, we're going to have a bulky weight one, and we'll have a bigger version even of the December one. So yeah, I'm keeping busy, really busy. Taught this weekend at Yarn Tales in Anoka, Minnesota. I taught 2 classes. If you are local and you have not been up to Yarn Tales, she is not the yarn store owner that participates in all of the shop hop and vending at local events and things like that. But she has a beautiful space right on Main Stream in Anoka, Minnesota, which is in the northern part of the Twin Cities. So I went up and met her in the spring, and then we scheduled a time for me to come back and teach. And she has a huge, beautiful teaching space. She set up tables in rows with chairs, with a big TV, and then she's got 2 big seating areas for people to go in and sit and knit. It's just a really big space, a lovely store right on Main Street with parking right in the front of the shop. So if you've never been up to Yarn Tales, you might want to take a little, drive up there. Super nice. Kim is just a really nice store owner, and she brought pizza in for everybody for lunch. So that was really nice. So yeah, I've been on the road. I was home a couple of weekends. I was supposed to go to Michigan and teach the 3rd weekend in October, and that got canceled. She did not get enough people signed up to cover the costs of flying me out there, putting me up, having me teach 3 classes. And so about a week and a half before, I don't ever want a yarn store owner to lose money on the weekends that I teach, right? And I have found kind of throughout the entire fall here, a number of yarn stores have had to cancel classes because people just aren't signing up. And I think it has a lot to do with the economy, For us, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it stayed warm and nice all the way through September. So people were still golfing and gardening and being outside on the weekends and weren't going into yarn stores to take classes. So I just think there are, you know, multiple reasons why people are not getting back to knitting. But I just said to her, you know, it's better if you cancel so that you don't lose, you know, I don't want you to have to lose money on the weekend. Anyway, so I didn't go then, and that caused me to go into a huge clean out at my house, a huge organizational, get rid of everything. I organized the junk drawer. I got rid of stuff. I organized the spice cabinet, got rid of so many spices. I did the spices during COVID. And I now did the spices again, and we probably have half as many as what we had before. I am on a purge mission. Nothing has sentimental value. Nothing is of importance to me. I even said to a friend, Ross better be careful or I'll throw him out the front door. Because I just feel like I have just been in the fall mood of getting rid of. My house is eclectically decorated, but there's a lot of stuff. I'm not a minimalist, and I was just feeling like there was there were tchotchkes and decorations on every shelf and wall, and I just was like, get rid of it. So I did go through some of my yarn. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and I did go through my closet, and we have taken 3 trips to Prop, which is our local community. It's near our church, and our church supports their mission for food and donated items. And so I took 7 bags the first time we went. We had stuff in the basement that was waiting for a trip. And then when I started doing shoes and clothes and different things, yeah, I've just been on a mission. And I had that, like, all of a sudden I had these 4 extra days in October where I thought I was going to be gone. I thought I was going to be packing. I thought I was going to be shipping 50 sweaters to her, and none of that happened. And it was just like, okay, take a little bit of time. And then the other big thing I did is I finished organizing all the photos. Oh my gosh. I took all the photos out of the front hall closet. I threw away 2 giant grocery bags, paper grocery bags, full to the top of photos, because we had doubles and triples and landscape photos that no one was in, that we didn't even know what they were pictures of. I just sorted and sorted and sorted and purged. And I'm having a gal scan those, and she already brought me the first batch. I sent her home with the second batch to scan, and now the third batch is sitting there waiting, and they're all done. And that took several days, evenings and days, watching football and just kind of going through pictures and getting that all done. Oh, I've just been purging. But let me go right away into some of the things of yarn that I'm going to be getting rid of. So I'm going to be selling these sock blanks on my Ravelry page. I will put them up tonight. And I have 4 of them, and I'm never going to knit with them. They have been in a box marked sock blanks since 2017. I'm not knitting socks right now, and they're beautiful. So this one is from Knitter's Nightmare, Sadie of Knitter's Nightmare, who was a Minneapolis dyer who passed away. And so she did stamped owl and stars on this background. And so then you just knit off the end, and you can knit actually whatever you want. You could knit a cowl or a hat, but this bright color will speckle with the black as you knit it. You know, you feel bad, but you can't keep all this stuff. And I was cleaning out that closet. So this one is orange and white, and with a little bit of pink kind of. So this will be real variegated when you knit it up. They're just fun because it's kind of a surprise. You're not exactly sure what you're gonna get. That one is from Gnome Acres, fingering sock, one of a kind colorway. Then this one is from Andre Sue Knits, and she had a podcast back in the day, and she had these at our first pop-up that we ever went to at Rhinebeck. And so this one has the 4 owls on it, 5 owls on it. And could you just frame one of these? You could. You could just cut it and frame it, or put it in one of those embroidery hoops. I mean, it's super cute, right? But for me to just hang on to them for almost 10 years and not use them. This one was $45, and it's called A Walk in the Woods. And then the last one was the actual logo for the Needles Up event that we were at. And this is also by Andre Sue Knits. This is the one that I'm having the hardest time letting go of because I just think it's so cool. It's got 4 groups of these sheep. And I was thinking you could frame it, but I'm trying to get stuff off my walls. Every time I get a new picture, I hang it, and it's just too much. I have too much stuff. I have too much yarn, too many clothes. I just need to, and I've been watching that Making Space podcast, vlog, video, YouTube videos, where she goes to people's houses and helps them get rid of their junk. And the more I watch it, the more I want to get rid of, right? So those are the 4 that I'm going to put up on Ravelry, and you can just let me know. I wanted to give you guys first chance. Then if they don't sell, I'll put them on Instagram, and someone will want them. You know, someone's going to use them and going to think that it's amazing that they get to knit with them. And I have not knit with fingering weight yarn in a while. I'm just not interested. I just want to knit with my DK and my Sport. And I have a lot of that, so. And I still have a whole closet to go through, so I will have more yarn. I have some on my for sale page. I have some beautiful dark purple with like a little bit of fluff. It's got, I have so many skeins of it. It's just way too dark a palette for me. It's really pretty. I have the pattern that I plan to make, which was like a long sleeveless lace kind of coat. What do you call those? A duster, kind of a longer sweater, cardigan sweater. I'm never going to make it. Somebody could love that yarn, love on that yarn. Okay, and then the last thing I want to share is that I was knitting this sweater, this vest, and I got this all done. And this is about a size between 38 and 40. And it will block, but it was just too tight and too small for me. And I have a bunch of yarn left over as well. So if someone wants this piece of knitting and the extra yarn, I'm going to put that on my Ravelry page as well, because somebody could just pick it up and knit the top and they would have themselves a vest. And I was going to rip it out, and I thought, well, why rip it out? Someone might really like not having to do all the knitting for this. So if that is your size, I will lay a tape measure on it when I take the picture, so you can see exactly how wide it is right now. And I will stretch it a little bit so that you can know that it would fit you. And then you can just let me know if you want the leftovers to make your own fully invested, because I certainly don't need all of these. I'm going to have 3 of them myself. And yeah, I wanted to show everybody my little patch that I made. Oh, when did I make this? I made this back in 2014. But it's the cutest little guy. I use self-striping sock yarn. And then these are just 2 little felt pieces and safety eyes. But you just make this. And every year at Halloween, I get him out and set him out. Made it for my daughter. She would have been early in high school, maybe. Anyway, she thought it was dumb. So I got my very first sponsored deal. My first affiliate promotional link. I mean, I did my stitch markers, and then I did the loop-de-doo dumpling bag with twice-shirred sheep, but this was like a product someone was sending me, and I said yes. So I got a Strucket, And you might have seen them out there. I did a video. That was what they asked me for, was in order to get the Strucket for free, which I kind of wanted one. I get asked all the time to be a, promoter of things. And I've talked about this before, but they ask me for the dumbest things. Like, they asked me if I would promote a chicken feeder, like a little chick feeder thing. I just get, it's like spam, right? Sunglasses. I wear prescription sunglasses. They wanted me to do baby bottles and baby accessory things. I'm so far past childbearing years, right? So a lot, I just delete it. But then when the Strucket people reached out, I had seen the Strucket, which is a strainer bucket. I'm going to put the video that I posted in here. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Corey's Laundry Room. Today we're going to talk about the Strucket, the strainer bucket, which I was sent as a gift to try out, and it's amazing. I absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is throw 3 pairs of rainbow socks, hand knit socks, into this bucket and fill it with water, just until it covers the items. Now I have my little bag of samples of soap for hand knits. I really like this Fig one by Handmade. I'm just going to add a little bit of that into my socks here. And then I'm just going to lift up and down a couple times to agitate very lightly, even though these are super wash wool. And I can just leave them to sit in there for a little bit, or I can rinse them right away. Of course, this is no rinse soak. But yeah, my water's turning a little bit murky, not too bad, but then it has this lovely little lip. So when I lift this up and I move it toward myself, and then on this end, it has a little drain. And so all that dirty water will just drain out of there while my socks just kind of strain themselves. I mean, this is amazing for hand knits. But when it came in the mail, my husband said, "Can I use it for my car parts?" And you can use it for anything. You can use it for vegetables. You can use it for anything you need to wash. All the things. I just think it's so great. I'm super excited about it. I have a bunch of sweaters, summer sweaters, to kind of wash and put away for the winter. And as a hand knitter and knitwear designer, this is going to make things go so much more quickly. I'm not going to have these big globs of wet things in the bottom of my utility sink. I'm just going to be able to kind of lift this out. It's got my wet socks. They're still draining, so I'll just let those drain there. And look at that. They all just came out damp and clean. Well, these are my sparkly Halloween ones. Rainbow, dark rainbow. All about the color. Next up is sweaters. But yeah, go over and check out the Strucket, because I think it's great. So if you'd like to go over, I will have the link down below, my affiliate link. I make like, I don't know, $1.50, something like that, $2.50 on a Strucket, because you get it through my affiliate link. But I love it. It's just a great product. And the fact that they wanted to send one to me, and then they wanted me to post it out there, and 2 of you did go out and buy it. And thank you so much, because that was really nice of you to use my link. You get a little heads up if somebody purchased from you, because then they tell you that you made your little fee. And I would love to be sponsored by the square wood needle people, the Knitter's Pride. Because I could sell those babies, because they're my favorites. Okay. Then I signed up. I took the pledge to be in the Sweaters for Good project. And that was started this year at Rhinebeck, even though I wasn't there. I saw it out on the internet. You can go over to Instagram. You can Google it, Sweaters for Good project, and it's for the Rhinebeck New York Sheep and Wool Festival for next year. And all that they're asking is that you knit your Rhinebeck sweater with local yarn. Try to use more local yarn. And you guys all know I kind of went all in on that this spring when I did my farm yarn shawl. I want to learn more about farm yarns. I want to especially women shepherds who are making wool for me. And, you know, Sam of Lavender Loon and Amy of Ross Farms and Teresa of Get Bents. And I could go on, and you all know, because I've talked about them all before, but you know, they're working hard on these farms to make a living and to grow product. And yeah, so I took that pledge, and you can too. And you don't have to go to Rhinebeck to knit a Rhinebeck sweater. You can just knit a sweater for fall and use local yarn. So a bunch of different farms are getting together and promoting this. You just take a pledge. You just sign up. That's all it is. And then I also signed up to knit every day in November for the American Cancer Society. So my niece works for the American Cancer Society in California, and her mom and her grandma have both had breast cancer, and she has a major fundraiser for them, and they have this knit every day in November. So you can still join and sign up, and the goal is to raise $250. So I told my husband and his brother, who is the father to my niece, that they both had to sponsor me. But I do have a link on my Instagram if you want to go over and throw $2 my way. I know most of you are Patreon, so I'm not going to ask you for more, but I will donate whatever I need to do to make that, so that and it won't be hard for me, I don't think, to knit every day in November. I am leaving on Friday to teach at the Gnome Schoolhouse. We still have a couple spots left. If you want to make a last-minute trip to the Gnome Schoolhouse next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you could still join me. All your food, your lodging, and 3 classes are provided. You get a tour of the woolen mill. You get to shop at the yarn store. It's super relaxing. We do a ton of knitting. You don't have to come to every class if you don't want to. If you want to spend one of the 3-hour time slots just knitting or reading a book, they have a huge library on the second floor of knitting and weaving books and textile books and old books. And it's just fascinating, this place. And the rooms are lovely, super clean. It's a brand new, you know, they added those 14 boutique hotel rooms. So you could still join me for that weekend if you wanted. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. I think there are 7 or 8 of us that are going to be there. And there are only 14, there are 12 beds, 12 rooms and 14 beds or something. Anyway, so yeah, there is a little bit of room left. And it's kind of a personal one-on-one classes and retreat weekend. It's not like there are 50 or 100 or 200 people there. It's just a small group of us who really get to know each other. And we come in on Friday afternoon. I'll probably get there between 3 and 4 on Friday. And then we leave on Sunday afternoon. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I did go to Yarnover. They are moving Yarnover next year. They're moving it to the St. Louis Park area in Minneapolis. It will be in September instead of October. They just find that it's really hard to schedule it, to miss every other event that's going on in the knitting world. But yeah, that was fun. I didn't buy much. I bought some buttons. I think I even talked about that already. So yeah, that was fun. I taught at Amazing Threads. They have a beautiful classroom space in October. And then this past Monday, so I'm recording on Sunday afternoon after the Vikings won. Go Vikes. Skol. And it was close until the end. And the Gophers won. Last night after I taught all day, I came home. We went to dinner with the kids, and then we came back, and I had taped the game, so I stayed up and watched it because it went into overtime. But I could fast forward through all the commercials, so I sat up and watched the Gophers, and they won in overtime. So it was a good football weekend for the Eichelberger house. I hope all of your teams won as well. And on Monday of this last week, I drove to Iowa, down to Ames, Iowa, and back for a dear friend's mother's funeral. She had dementia for the last about year, and the last month had gotten really bad. But I lived with her for the first 2 years that we taught in a small town in Edgerton, Minnesota, and we have stayed friends. So that's like 40 years of friendship. She eventually moved up to the Twin Cities. She lives north of the city, so I don't see her as much as I would like, but And she continued to teach and retired from teaching. And when I heard that her mom had passed away, I was like, I need to get down to that funeral. So it was about a 3.5, 4-hour trip down. The funeral was lovely. Really, really a nice send-off for her mom. Her dad and her sisters, she has a brother and 2 sisters, and they were all there. And of course, I know all of them. I've been to their house when we were younger, and, you know, she knows my whole family. My daughter calls her Aunt Julie, always has. So she's just been a big part of my life. And so I was really glad. It was a long day. I drove down and back in one day. And so there was no knitting time really to speak of, but I listened to an audiobook and kind of finished that up. And yeah, so it was good to be able to send someone off and know that now she's in a better place. What have I been reading? Oh my gosh. Okay. I have a few duds in a row that I just didn't think were really, really good. I have 2 pretty goods and then one that is so bad I don't even want to finish. Okay, I read The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. This one was good. This one I liked. Washington, D.C., 1950. Everyone keeps to themselves at Briarwood House, a down-at-the-heels, all-female boarding house in the heart of the nation's capital, where secrets hide behind white picket fences. And then this woman moves in and she kind of changes the whole boarding house. And it's the story of all these women who live together and support each other. And the one lady who nobody likes. And then something happens and they all have to decide if they're going to cover it up or not. And so I did really like that. It was 15 hours on audio. Then I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Not my favorite. Didn't think it was that great. Wouldn't probably recommend it unless you really like Alice Feeney books, which some people do really like her writing. Things have been wrong with Mr. and Mrs. Wright for a long time. When Adam and Amelia win a weekend away to Scotland, it might just be what their marriage needs. Self-confessed workaholic and screenwriter Adam Wright has lived with face blindness his whole life. He can't recognize friends or family or even his own wife. Every anniversary, the couple exchanged traditional gifts: paper, cotton, pottery, tin, and each year Adam's wife writes him a letter that she never lets him read until now. And so they go away to Scotland, and then this becomes a kind of a thriller, and I just didn't love it. I am not a crime, murder, mystery, thriller person unless I don't even know why I like some and others I don't. It wasn't that this was bad. I think that people would like this. It's scary. It's psychological. It's weird. I just don't like that feeling. So take my review with a grain of salt. Okay. Then I read The Berry Pickers. I thought this was going to be one of those ones that I really liked because it was going to be kind of, I don't know if you'd call it light, but it wasn't. It wasn't what I expected at all. I have my notes here, so that's just what I'm looking at. When a 4-year-old girl goes missing from the blueberry fields of Maine, sparking a tragic mystery that haunts the survivors, unravels a family, and remains unsolved for nearly 50 years. So it starts in 1962. It tells the tradition of Indigenous workers from Nova Scotia who go to Maine to pick berries in the summertime, and kind of what a horrific job that is, which is what I wanted to read about, right? I wanted to read about Indigenous people and berry pickers and kind of immigrants and that whole thing. But then it winds up with this missing child, and then that part just makes my heart heavy and I can't enjoy it. And you find out probably what has happened, so then you kind of know, but the people don't know. And it was suspenseful. The story was good. I just can't enjoy those. We'll just leave it at that. Then I read Broken Country, which is supposed to be one of the best books of the year. Everybody's reading it. I thought it was okay, but not one of my favorites of the year. I was hoping it would be one of my favorites of the year. This was a Reese Witherspoon choice, book club choice, who usually I like her, recommendations. Beth and her gentle, kind husband, Frank, are happily married, but their relationship relies on the past staying buried. But when Beth's brother-in-law shoots a dog going after their sheep, Beth doesn't realize that the gunshot will alter the course of their lives. For the dog belonged to none other than Gabriel Wolf, the man Beth loved as a teenager, the man who broke her heart years ago. Gabriel has returned to the village with his young son, Leo, a boy who reminds Beth very much of her own son, who died in a tragic accident, right? There goes my empathetic heart right away. We've got, you know, the little boy's dog is attacking the sheep, and so the farmer shoots him, and then the little boy is devastated, and you're just like, oh, you know. And then her son has died, and you don't know why. It takes a long time to find out what that tragic accident was, but both the husband and wife have been grieving for a long time, and you kind of get the feeling that it's one of their faults. And I don't know, I just, again, tragic sadness. And I don't always want to read happy ending books, but this was, it was good. I don't know. I think maybe, you know, when you get 3 in a row like that, your heart and your mind just can't take it. And then I read Lovely One by Ketanji Brown Jackson, and I loved this book. That has a lot to do with the fact that my daughter is a lawyer. She is the new Supreme Court Justice, if you're unaware of her story. It is a long audiobook, 18 or 19 hours. She does tell her whole life story in quite a bit of detail, and it's fascinating. But she did a lot of things like my daughter did, right? Went to college, had to do good in college. She had to get into good law school, went to law school, had to get into a good, you know, clerkship. Yeah. And so for me, it felt like reading a book about my daughter's life, like not in the same way, but things that, like, I'm very familiar with the appellate court, and I'm familiar with law school, and I was familiar. So it's kind of like those books that take place in Minnesota when you kind of feel like you know a little bit, right? And so I kept, I don't know how many times I texted my daughter, like, you have to listen to this book. But it tells about her sponsorship to try to become get vetted for her first judgeship, and how hard that is, and the process that they have to go to, and every family member and every friend gets interviewed, and you know it. And then the Supreme Court is even bigger, and then they weren't sure that she would be able to be recommended. And I'm really proud that she's the first African-American woman on the Supreme Court. And that she's a woman. I always vote for judges that are women. I think that's important. I'm really a strong believer in, you know, not as many white men. Need to be making all the rules and decisions in our world. But yeah, it was fascinating, very interesting, well written. Funny, sad, and she has a child who has a disability, her first daughter, and the struggles that they had to go through with that, and how they had to find schooling and things like that. So, like, she had a lot of obstacles along the way that, you don't always know about for people. So I would really recommend that one. And then the one we're reading for book club this month it's called The First Lady. It's a novel about the extraordinary partnership between the First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt and civil rights activist Mary McLeod Bethune, an unlikely friendship that changed the world. And it's by best-selling authors, but it is so bad. It is so... The dialogue, the language, it is read so slowly. I am now reading it on 1.7 speed because it's that language that they used during that era where the women didn't have many rights, and their husbands got to do everything, but they're starting to take some control, and their language is stilted and conservative. They're afraid to say certain things is very flowery, and I just can't stand it. And I have to lead the book club next Monday. And I'm just keep listening to it faster and faster because, and I talked to my friend Janet, and she just said she's listening to it on a CD or audio from the library, and she can't speed it up. And she said, It is the slowest moving thing. And it is based in a true story. You would think it could be wonderful. I just cannot recommend it unless you listen to it on audio and can speed it up. That's the only thing that's making kind of the chapters kind of repeat the same conversations of the same things. They're trying to get rid of the lynching of African Americans, more rights for women, more rights for African Americans. But the women just keep repeating the same meetings and conversations. It doesn't seem to be moving forward. And I know it didn't move forward quickly, but the book needs to. So, okay, there you go. Those are all the books. I wanted to get through them a little quicker than that. And then we discussed the book, This Is How It Always Is by Lori Frankel last month for our Patreon book club. And that was great. We had some great people come to book club to talk about it. So much to talk about. It was a book that I didn't think I wanted to read or listen to, and I really enjoyed it. I did pick the book for the month of December. So we're going to have book club on. This month we're going to have Knit Night on Wednesday, November 19th at 7 p.m. 19th at 7 p.m. And then in December we're going to read the book Tilt. And that was one of my favorite books from last month, and it's a shorter book, and I thought that would be good for December. So yeah, we're gonna read that. I already put that up in the Patreon group, and so everybody should have gotten that. But it's, if you want to mark your calendars now to join us on Zoom for that hour for November and December, you sure can. That's just for Patreons only, but you could go over and join Patreon at any time. If you have a question for me to fix a sweater or pattern or something that you're working on, remember I'm doing the fixer-upper, so you just have to send me an email and let me know what the dilemma is. Maybe send me a picture of what the problem is or the fit issue you're having, and I will try to help you fix it here on the podcast. Yeah, I think that's about all I have. I can announce the winner of the prizes. I have not heard back from the last prizes winner, I don't think. The Patreon prize winner for this time is Barbara Peterson. And Barbara, you are getting the gold yarn box, one of them from Bee Woolen, which is the local yarn store to me, with, look at this lovely set of yarn. This is donated to the podcast from Fab Funky Fibers. My goodness, I'm going to do a collaboration with them. So these are the fall colors. The colorway is called the Dapper Cat, hand dyed in the UK. And so you get a skein of self-striping sock yarn as well as a mini skein for toes and heels and cuffs if you want it. And so this is going together in this little dish. Isn't it cute? I have 2 of these for some reason. And I was like, oh, I can give that one away. Anyway, that's going out. Barbara, just get me your address. You can send it to irockknits@gmail.com, or you can just send me a message on Instagram or Ravelry, however you want to get it to me. That will be fine. But I've been watching so much TV lately. I mean, I'm staying up super late knitting, trying to get things done. And so I just thought I'd share them all real quick, only because I like it when people tell me about good shows that are on TV. So I watched The Morning Show, season 3. That's on Apple TV. I had to subscribe for a month to watch some of the shows that were over there because I don't always have a subscription. And I watched Unforgotten on Masterpiece Theater. That was a season that I really enjoyed. I watched Criminal, the United Kingdom on Netflix, and that is all about psychological interrogation after a crime has occurred, and they put someone in the room and then they sit and talk to them over a period of time, and it's all edited. They're actors, but it's the twisty psychological part of trying to get them to either confess or say, that they were involved in it. It's a little strange, but I sat and watched it. I watched the Great British Bake Off. Man, I love that show. It's just so fun, and they're all so nice to each other, and they cheer one another on. And some of the food looks good, and then some of it looks absolutely terrible. I watched the new documentary about Victoria Beckham. When Kylie was younger, we were living in Virginia, so we moved back when she was 8. We moved there when she was 3. We went and saw the movie Bend It Like Beckham, which is David Beckham, her husband. And she was one of the Spice Girls. And it's a whole documentary about her in the fashion industry and trying to make it, have her own brand. And yeah, it was quite good. Then as far as YouTube stuff, I watched Tia Weston. She's doing the $1 home. She buys the home for $1. If you haven't gone over and watched her, she's really, really fun. She's doing it all herself. Her dad helps her with some of the stuff. Van Wives, Midlife, Stockman, when I get like really tired and bored, or I just need to concentrate on my knitting, like when I'm getting to decreases or something on the vests, I will turn on Midlife Stockman and watch him transform a overgrown yard. Then I'm watching Killing Eve, and I really liked the first season. You know, it's kind of a psychological thriller, but the characters are getting so weird. I'm watching season 3, and I can only watch an episode at a time, and then I have to turn it off. And then I watched the new season of The Diplomat, which is phenomenal. I just really like it. That's Carrie Russell, and, you know, it starts off with the whole new president and the whole thing. And then there are a bunch of characters from The West Wing, Allison Janney, and yeah, so I enjoyed watching that season too. So I just wanted to share those. Maybe I will see some of you at Sacred Sheep. Maybe I will see some of you at the Gnome Schoolhouse. Then I'm teaching again at the Yarnery. I'm teaching online quite a bit this month. So this week next week I'm teaching Tuesday night online, and then that is for Yarn Fest at home. And I'm teaching for Longmont Yarn Shop again on Friday afternoons for 2 Fridays, one in November and one in December. And I'm teaching for Yarn Fest again in December. So go over and look at my schedule. I'll have it in the box below in the show notes. If you want to take a class from me online, because people always say, will you ever get to my state? And I probably won't. You never know, but you could take a class with me online, and that would be kind of fun. In the privacy of your own home with pajamas and, you know, whatever your favorite drink, you can just sit and take class. All right, I will see you all next time. Bye. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate everybody's support. Man, it's been a good year. I have not been happier in my life for a while. It's, you know, I got all my body parts replaced there, and I'm outside walking, and I've lost a lot of weight, and the life is just feeling like it's much better right now. Not that it was ever bad. I have a great marriage, good kids, you know, nice house, nice car. But yeah, when things are going really well, you should be extra thankful, right? And so I am just extra thankful that things are going well right now, because we've all had struggles and been through tough times, and me included, and things that you guys will never know, but you know, we all have. And so I just think that when you come out of some of those down times, you're just like, this is awesome. Things are so much better. So come in for a hug. Always try to give everybody a squeeze, because we've got lots of people out there that are hurting right now. Yeah, and that's tough stuff. So, all right, I will see you in a couple weeks. I hope to have a guest interview. I have contacted her, but I haven't heard back. And she had said yes, and then I haven't heard back. So hopefully I will get that set up in the next little bit. All right, bye.